Hey, welcome back to the channel. So today we have an interesting looking puzzle. This one's called Skyscraper Celebration 2024. I don't know if this is a theme. This is by Willpower, so I'm not sure if there have been other celebrations that have been done or if this is a one-off. But it just looked, I mean, the coloring that they've got going on here must have some value. We'll get to that information when we get down to the rule sets. But it just looked quite fun to get into this thing, so that's what I'm going to try to figure out. So let's look at our rule sets and try to get it going. So we've got, of course, normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and every 3x3 box contains the digits 1 through 9 once each. We've got skyscraper sums, so numbers inside the grid represent a building of that height at that location. Smaller buildings cannot be seen if they're behind any larger one. Numbers outside the grid are the sum of the heights of all buildings that can be seen when looking horizontally or vertically into the grid. Okay, so a little bit to go through on that. So typical skyscrapers. Let's just do some examples. If you were to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, looking from this side, you would be able to see every single skyscraper because you would have, this would be a 1-story skyscraper. This would be a 2-story, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, going up all the way, obviously. So therefore, in this example, you see from this side, you would see every single skyscraper there is. So therefore, you'd have to add all of those up, and that would give you a value. Now, on the flip side, if you were to look from this side, because this 9 is the very highest skyscraper there is, you can't see anything below it. So the value from this side would be that digit. So that's kind of the concept of skyscraper. Now, of course, these could all intermix. You could have, the 4s and the 6s and the 2s and the 3s and all that kind of mixed up. And that's kind of the point or the fun of the puzzles, to figure all that stuff out. So like we said, the value outside of the grid here is now going to be what the total value of the skyscrapers that can be seen are. And that's kind of the concept of all of that. And that, of course, applies both horizontally and vertically. Now we've got a couple more rule sets we need to get into, so let's take a look at those. We've got Kropki Pairs, so numbers with a white dot between them are consecutive, right here. So white dots, these two are just consecutive digits, 2, 3, 6, 7, whatever it may be. Okay. It did not say anything about black dots yet. Maybe I'll just continue and see what happens. Not all possible dots are shown. So it says there's nothing, there's no negative constraint. And then we've got the next bit. So do not use the following hint if you want a more difficult solve, except for the 9s, which are not shaded. Numbers shaded light green can be seen from the left or right. Skyscraper clue points, except for the 9. Numbers shaded dark green can be seen from the top or bottom clue points. What does any of that mean? Let's take a look at this here. Now, I'm assuming there was a black Kropki dot rule set that wasn't shown in here, because there are black Kropki dots, and we just got down to the end. There wasn't anything there. So for black Kropki dots, the digits across a black Kropki dot must be in a 2-to-1 ratio or a 1-to-2 ratio, however you prefer to look at it. I'll have to take a look back at the origination of this puzzle just to make sure that's accurate. And actually, let me do that 1 second. I'll pause for just a second just to verify, and I'll be right back. I don't want to go through all this and then find out something different, but yep, okay, I was correct. It appears like it's just a miss in terms of that rule getting typed into this here, because on the original location of this puzzle, it does specifically say the black dots are 2-to-1 ratio. So let's get into that. Essentially, what that means is whatever this digit is, call it x. This must be x over 2 or 2x, or another way to look at it is say whatever this digit is, this is either half or double the other digit. That's black Kropki dots. Now let's dive back into what. Well, the question is, do we want to use the hint? I think what we'll do to start off. Sorry, I've got a little bit warm in here. I think we'll start off without using that hint, that last hint, and we'll go from there And if we run into trouble, we'll see what that hint does. So I'm not going to get into that rule set just yet. If I do, I will come back and read it and go through what I think that all that information means. So let's do the difficult version for this. If you guys want to do the use that hint, go right ahead and go for it. I'm going to try to do it without it until I figure out I can't do it, and then I might switch back to using it. So anyway, those are our rules for my solve, and let's get into it and see what we can figure out. So Skyscraper Sums. So what do we know? Well, I guess we can, because of the black Kropki dots, I think that's probably a good place to kind of start in relation to our 24, because we're not going to be able to use whatever these green things meant. I read the rule, but I didn't quite understand it because I didn't take a look any deeper than superficially speaking on it. So what we do know is that looking from pretty much every direction where there is a clue, except for this one up here, we have to have skyscrapers placed in such a way where the value of what the visible skyscraper is going to equal 24. Now, one thing you can kind of say about that, and it'll come in, I guess, in a bit, is no matter where you look, you're always going to see a 9. So essentially, all of these values here already have a 9 added or incorporated into them. So it's the remainder that we need to kind of figure out. And using all this other information, we should be able to do so. So let's give it a go. Now, what I was starting to say, and I stopped myself to go over that little bit, was we have a bunch of black Kropki dots that are in multiple groupings. So we know that the only things you can put on a black Kropki dot, well, first you can't put 5, 7, or 9 because you can't have or double any of those digits and have a valid Sudoku. So the only actual pairs on a black Kropki dot can be 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, and 4, 8. Now, if we have multiple black Kropki dots in a row, you can never do 3, 6. At least if they're in the same region. If they're all in the same region, you can't. Because if you put a 3 here and a 6 here, you'd have to put another 3 in here, and we can't do that. Or you'd have to put a 12 or 1.5. Obviously, that doesn't work. So we have all of these instances where we have triples, essentially, of black dots. We have to be going from the pool of 1, 2, 4, and 8. Now, what that means is that all of these have 2s and 4s in them. We just don't know if it's 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8, or you can go in the opposite direction. But what we can say is that it is either 1, 2, or 8 is on the outside. So it could be 1, 2, 4, it could be 2, 4, 8. So the 1, 2s, and the 8s must be on the outside perimeter of it. And in the interior, it's either 2 or 4. Now, because we have this 24 clue sitting here looking at us, we know that this can never be an 8. Because if this is an 8, the only thing we can ever see from this skyscraper position is the 8, and then wherever the heck the 9 happens to be. And that would only be 17. So this cannot be 8. So now we're looking at this either a 1, 2, 4. Wait, did I? Yeah, I didn't put a 4 in, sorry. This can't be 8. That still is correct. So this is either 1, 2, 4, or 2, 4, 8, or 1, 2, 4 this way. This cannot be a 2 because we can't put the 8 over there anymore. So the 1, if there is a 1 on this side, it would have to just be 1, 2, 4. Now, can we ever have 2, 4, 8? Let's look at that. If we have 2, 4, 8, it can only be coming from this way, in this direction. So we'd see the 2, we'd see the 4, and we'd see the 8. So that would give us 14. Well, 14, and then the eventual 9, which would be the only other digit we could ever see, doesn't get us to 24. It only gets us to 23. So this can never be 2, 4, 8 in this direction, because that just does not work. So we can remove that option of this being 2, 4, 8, which means this can't be an 8. So this is a 1, 4 pair, and there's a 2 in the middle. Now we don't know if this goes 1, 2, 4 this way, or if it goes 1, 2, 4 this way. And at the moment, we can't really determine what that is. Now, with having a 1, 2, 4 here in this black Kropkis, we know that these Kropkis must be a pair of 3 and 6. And that's going to leave the only digit left, because we can use these Kropkis. We know we've got 1, 2, 4, 3, and 6. We can never put a 5 on these consecutive white Kropkis, because if we do that, we have to use a 4 or a 6 to get out of there, and we can't do it. So this must be a 5. Now, another way to kind of look at it would have said, well, none of these can be from 5, 7, and 9. So we get the options of 5, 7, and 9 up in here. And we can still use that concept. But let's actually look at that. And I'll grab this one in a second. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit because I'm kind of seeing things as I move. But we know we must have a 7 and a 9. And they cannot be on the black Kropkis, like we've already stated. We've already shown that these can't be. So there is either a 7 or a 9 on this. And the only other digit that can go with 7 or 9 in this this Kropki set would therefore have to be an 8, because we can't go down to 6 on that 7. So there has to be an 8 here, and either the 7 or the 9. And then the other 7, 9 location is down here, which means we end up again having a 1, 2, 4. Therefore, these can't be 2, and this has to be a 2. All right, so that all said, now we know this has to be 7, 8, 9. Therefore, the middle digit has to be 8, and the outside digits have to be 7 and 9, because we already figured out we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. Now, that actually we can tell exactly what that pattern is, because we have this 24 digit over here. We can never put a 9 here, because if we did that, we would never be able to see anything else. So this has to be 7 and 9. Now, can we figure out the rest of this 24 clue while we're at it? We know this 9 is the limit of what we're going to be able to see. So we either have 1, 2, 4, 5, and then a 6 and a 9, which would be, what is that? 7, 12, 18, and 27. So that would be way too much. So this cannot be 1, 2, 4, because we would be exceeding our 24 allotment. I'll just do that again real quick, just for my own head, so I don't want to make a mistake. 1, 2, 4 is 7. Plus 5 would be 12. We would see the 6. We wouldn't see the 3. So that would get us up to 18. And then 9. 9 is, wait. That would get us up to, wow. Hold on. I am losing my mind. 7 plus 5 is 12. Plus 8 is 18. Plus 9 would be 27. I just couldn't get the words out. So that is too much. This cannot be 1, 2, 4. This has to be a 4, 2, 1. So now what we're seeing is a 4, a 5, which is 9, plus a 9, which is 18, and then we're going to see a 6 in one of these two positions, which will be added, and that will give us a 24. Okay. I didn't it took me a second to get through it mentally, but it was there. So, what does all of that mean? Well, it gets us going. Question is, what is the next area that's going to be the most fruitful for us? Because that worked out pretty well, quite right off the bat. Now, we can say we can look at this guy, because it's going to have some restraints with our 2s and 4s now. So what we said was these could be 1, 2, 4, and 8, as we had in our previous instance. Because this could be 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8, or 8, 4, 2, like that. 4, 2, 1 coming back the other way. These, what do you say? These could be 2 and 4, right? Yeah. Yeah. So this has to be a 4 because we've got the 2 looking at it. So therefore, these are not 4s and they can't have a 1 on them. So it's a 2, 8. So therefore, this is an 8 again. And this is a 2. Now, again, we've got consecutive digits. We can't put the 9 here because we did that. We'd only be seeing the 9. So this has to be 7. This has to be 9. Consecutive digits around an 8. Just to finish the thought there as I was speaking. So we've got this this clue solved, this clue solved, this clue solved. Now we might be able to continue on this path. But I'm not quite seeing a lot of I mean, we can say there's a 1 up here somewhere. I don't want to do a ton of marking. Like, I'm not going to mark the 4s and the 2s up here just yet, even though we know there's a 2 and a 4 up here. I'm trying to unclutter some of these puzzles these days, if I can do it. The next, I guess, place would be here. Now, this is going to be very similar to what we had here, but it's going to change course when it comes back. So if we had, let's say, a 1, 2, 4, you couldn't continue back or up to an 8, because then you have to go up to a 16 here. So whatever way we get to this point, it has to double back and come back. So if we did 1, 2, let's say 1, 2, 4, this would be then 2, 1. And if we 2, 4, 8, this would be 4, 2. So these have to be 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, and then coming back down the mountain, essentially, we'd end up doing this. Yeah, that's correct. But we don't have anything actually looking at. Oh, yeah, we do. We have the 2 right here. Sorry. So this has to be a 1. Now, no, let's not do that. Let's not make the mistake. This could easily be 8 or 2 or 8. Let's put all our options in. I almost shortcut that one. And it could also be a 4. Okay, that was a close one to almost me making a mistake. So it's either 8, 4, like I said, it could be 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8, or it could be 8, 4, 2, or 4, 2, 1, like that. These 2 4s get stuck here anyway, so they're going to maintain their positions, but these guys would have to be like this now, so we can get rid of our 2 here. Now, if we get rid of a 2 here, that doesn't, well, it removes this from being a possibility of an 8, because we can never get to an 8. If this is an 8, this has to be 4, and then what is this? It can't be anything, so this is not 8. Now, does that tell us this has to be the same thing? So we can do 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8, or 4, 2, 1. So no, we can't quite go that direction yet. We do know this isn't an 8, though, because of this guy here, so we can actually get rid of our 8. So we're back to 1, 2, 4, or 4, 2, 1. So this can never be a 4, because we'd have to have a 2 on both sides. So this is 2. Okay. Now, if that's a 2, this clearly can't be a 2. This, again, if this is 4, this has to be 2 and 1. If this is 1, this is 2 and 4, so this is not 8. And this can't be a 2. Because like I said, it has to be 1, 2, 4, or 4, 2, 1. So we get a 1, 4 pair, and that forces this to be a 2. Now we're getting some things going, and this is... It's not solving the way I thought it would originally, but it is solving it, and I'm probably doing this a way that's maybe contrary to some other people's ways of solving, but it seems to be working for me, which I'm good with. So what else do we have? a limitation. Well, we know there's a 1-4 pair here. We know there's a 1-4 pair here. I'm not sure. Well, we know there has to be another 1 or 4 over here, but can we start using these other clues now? Because this value is never going to be seen. So we've got an 8 in here somewhere. We don't know if it adds up with a 7 or not. And we don't know if the 9 is here, if it's somewhere off on the side of the road, per se. What about these Kropkis? Is it worth looking at those? I don't think it is, because there's really a lot that could go up here. I mean, clearly it can't be 9, 8, 7 or something like that, but there are quite a few options. I don't think that's going to give us a ton of information, at least at the moment, to determine. This Kropki doesn't really get a ton. Maybe we can use 7s or 9s, because we can't have a 9 in any of those. It leaves an option of 2 9s. The 7, and it leaves 3 options of 7. And again, we can't necessarily rule out some options there. Now, we've got a 24 that's looking way across here. We already know that we've got the 9 that has to be part of it. So we're looking at 15 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits. That's almost good. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, well, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 equals 15, but we have a 1 outlier. So we're always going to see a 6 somewhere in here. So if we're always seeing a 6, we actually have 9 left over, but there's multiple ways you can make a 9, I think, with those sorts of digits in hand. The other thing would be a little bit of Sudoku. I mean, one of these has to be a 2. Is there anything that would break this? If this is a 2, this could be a 1 or a 4. That's perfectly fine. If this is a 2, this has to be 3, 4, which is perfectly fine. Now, if this was 2, 4, this would have to be 5, 6, but that doesn't break anything either. Okay, so that didn't get us anywhere. All right. What can I look at further? Because there must be something in here. Well, where can a 9 go in this column is maybe a good question. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that button. It can't go here because we can't obviously block this 24 from seeing anything. It can't go here because of this 9 and because of that 24 as well. It can't go here because on a black crop, you can't go there, can't go there, can't go there, can't go there, can't go there. Because if a 9 went here, the 8 would be the only digit high enough, well, not high enough, but it'd be the highest digit you could possibly get there and only get to 17. So this has to just be a 9. It's kind of interesting. I didn't see that right off the bat, which means this has to be 8 and this has to be 7. And if we know this is 9, does that do much for us? It leaves 11 here, and it has to be consecutive to make 11. So the only way to do that is with a 5, 6. So I think this has to be a 5, 6 pair, which would be 5, 6, 7. Let's think about that for a second. We have 9. We're never going to see whatever this thing is, because there has to be too much left in here to get to 11. These have to be consecutive digits, and they have to just be 5, 6 to get to 11. Yeah, it's the only way it works, which is interesting as well. This has to be 7. This has to be 3 and 6 then. Okay. Now, can we do the reverse coming this way? We know what these 3 digits are because we have everything else sort of laid out. So these have to be from 2, 7, and 8, and this can't be 7 or 8, so this is the 2. So let's get rid of our 2s from those spots. And this can't be a 7. So this has to, because it's on a black Kropki, so this must be an 8. This must be a 7. So we do end up getting 7, 8, 9, which gives us 24. So that does work. Now this is a 2, so this has to be 3 and 4. Okay, okay. This is working out quite well when you see the little bits of light through the trees, or light through the skyscrapers, would probably be more apt. Where else? What's the next set? These 2 digits. Okay, where does the 5 go in this row? Can't go any of these. Can't go here. Can't go here. Can't go here. Can't go on a black Kropki. So this must be a 5, which means this is either a 4. Can't be a 4. So this only can be a 6. It couldn't be a 4 for 2 reasons. One, that looks there, and this one looks here as well. So we now have a 6 here. So none of these Kropkis can be 6 or 3, 6. They must be from 1, 2, 4, and 8. We could say this one's not 4, 8. These are not 2 and 8. This is not 2 and 4. So we end up with a 1, 4 pair here, which gives us a 2 here. And, well, the 1 can never go with 4, 8, so this has to be 4 and 8, and this must be a 1, and therefore this has to be a 6. And we can put a 5 here now, because of this 5 sees everything. These 2 digits end up having to be a 1 and, what's the other? 1 and a 9. That's going to give me my 4 here, and my 1, and my 4, and my 1, and my 4. So there we go. We sure knew there's a 1 here, so this actually tells us the 1 and the 9. And we're getting a lot done, which is good. We need to figure out 3 and 9 in this row, and there's a 9 right there, so this must be 3 and this must be 9. We know what these 2 digits are. Can we get them absolute? Again, we must have a 3 and we must have a 7, so there's a 7 there. So this is 3 and this is 7. We're going to have these 2 digits now. 3 and 8, we cannot rule out at the moment, or can we? Because we're going to have something on this side. This has to be from 1. Well, this can never be 1 because it can't add up to the 3 or the 8, be consecutive. And then this, therefore, just has to be a 9. So therefore, that makes this 8 and 3. Okay, good, good, good. Where else? These 2 seem to be the most logical next steps. 3 and 8, therefore this is 8 and this is 3. All right. So we've done quite a bit there. Got a little flurry of action. Let's put in these digits. We know they have to be 1, 5, and 6. This is not 1, so let's just have those there. Now let's take a look at our Sudoku, see if we can figure anything else out. This has to be 1. One of these has to be 1. I cannot rule that one out because 2 could quite easily go there. What else do we have Sudoku-wise? In fact, we do have a 2 in one of the areas that they're kind of honing in on each other. These must be 2. So here let's look at this actually, instead of going into Sudoku, because it's probably not as interesting. We've got an 8 and a 9. We're going to see both of those from this 24 clue. So these 2 digits must equal to 7, because that would be what's left after 9 and 8 equals 17, sorry. And therefore 7 is left. Now, we can't do 6, 1, and we can't do 4, 3. So the only thing that's left over would be a 2, 5. And therefore this must be 2 and this must be 5. I think that was a better way to look at that instead of going through basic Sudoku. So this is a 2 up here, which means this cannot be a 1. So we're going to put our 1 in here. And we're going to put our 1 in here. Let's get rid of the 1 clues there. Okay, what more can we do? Okay, so we know we've got 1 some digit, which is going to block the 2, then the 8 and the 9. So this again is 17. This is 18, so this must be a 6. And from this side, we've got a 1. We're going to see the 7 and the 9, because the 8's over here. So that we have 17. So these have to equal 7. They have to be consecutive. And they have to be consecutive where you can see them from here. Because, wait, what did I just say? Hold on. These are 17. These have to equal 7. Yeah, okay. So there isn't the possibility of having just a plain 7 be here and that fixing it because we've already got the 7. So these had to equal 7. They have to be consecutive. They have to be 3, 4. So therefore the 3 is here and the 4 is here. Now, it looks like we've used almost all of our clues. We have these left over from this 24 side. And they have to be from 3, 5, and 7. We know by Sudoku these two are not 3, so this is a 3. Let's get rid of these. Now, we've got a 3. We're going to have, we're going to have the 5 and the 7, because we can only see a 9 and a 3 right now. So that's 12, so we need 12 more. 5 and 7 equal 12, so you must be able to see both of them, 5 and 7. Now, the 5 has to either have a 4 or a 6. Be consecutive with it. There's a 4 right there and 1 right there, so this is 6. All right, so that has used up all of our clues. Now we can just finish off our Sudoku. And I'm kind of glad I went and used the clues instead of trying to do so, because I'm pretty sure you probably could have gone through Sudoku and gotten most of this stuff. But this just seemed like a better way to go about it. And 2s are done. We said 3s are not done, but they are now. What's left on our 4s? We got a 4 up here. I think that was the last one. The 5 has to go here. What do these two have to be? 8 and 9. So this is 8. This is 9. This is either 5 or 6. We don't quite know what that is. What are these two? We need to have a 7 and a 9. And actually, we can't determine that, which is interesting. This is 5 or 6, like I said. Where else then? Oh, we've got a given digit here. This is the 7. Okay, so that's going to resolve some issues for us. And these two must be from 6 and 9. So this is 6 because we've got a 9 sitting over here. That 6 is going to break up our 5 and our 6. And then we're going to have our final 2 digits, which are 8 and 6. And there we go. So it says look good as far as I can tell. It doesn't include a solution, but it looks like we're good to go. I've checked all of our options here, and we seem like we're good. So that was Skyscraper Celebration 2024 by Will Power. I did not have to use that that extra rule set, but just for the fun of it, let's go look back at it and see what it was going to tell us, because I really did not comprehend it when I was just did the reading of it. So just for a little bit of added information, if you guys decide to do this or not. So except for the 9s, which are not shaded, number shaded light green can be seen from left or right skyscraper clue points. Except for the 9, number shaded dark green can be seen from the top or bottom clue prints. Okay, so what would that have meant? So if you look, the 9s are always unshaded in our solve, so that would be accurate. So I think what you could say is, looking at this row, all of these are shaded in some form, and it seems like this extra rule says that the 9 must not ever be shaded. So you could have instantly put a 9 here, and that would have instantly given you an 8. Could you have used that further? I don't know if you could. I don't see any other ones that were quite so obvious as that. Yeah, because you could use that 9 to rule out a little bit on a couple of these other ones here, but you still have a couple of options, so it would have helped out, but there would have still been some options to go through. Yeah, so I'm sure if you went back and looked at it, that would definitely be a help to just instantly have that 9, and then you could probably take it further and see where, how that would impact what you would already put into the grid if you had already gotten there and been able to rule out locations of 9s. So anyway, okay, that's kind of interesting. It definitely did create some obvious locations for where nines could be, which would have been an aid if you had gone down that road. But anyway, we were able to do it in about a half hour without that, so I am happy with that. As always, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed the puzzle. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me out more than you could think. Trying to get this channel getting going a little bit. But anyway, always a pleasure. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.